Yep.
Okay, so when you actually start the pattern, it tells you to crochet 25, and I think you said you'd already done your 25 chain. So that measurement is actually the crown to like to the bottom of the hat. So for instance, if this is your head, so it starts with the curl's on the crown, and then it comes down to here. So this is the bit that'll come down and around. So the length, which I think it tells you to do 16 or 26 or something rows of the pattern, but the length is the bit that will come around the head. So if you had someone's head that you wanted to actually see how big that you needed to make the hat, you would measure from the tip of the head down to wherever you think it would want to come. And just remember too that you possibly want to bend it back up again. So that'll be how many chain you want to do. So you do your chain on a ruler, and then the width around the head will be how long you make it. And so it's easy to measure the length of it once you've got it in this sort of a format. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I've got this wool that was in my stash of wool that I'll use for this. It's quite colourful, and it is sort of intertwined. So I'm thinking it's probably about 12 ply or something. So I'm going to use a hook that is a number 8 millimeters, and then I'll use this one to do the body of the hat, and then I'll use a size 10 to do the curls, just so that they're not quite so tight. So starting out with a chain, and I'll make this chain, it's quite huge. Sorry. 8, 9, 10. Oops. 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. So that's quite long. So if you were to put that on the head, that'd be there, and then enough to bend back. So I'm just going to do this one at 20, and then I'll do one extra, because one becomes a, I'll actually do 2 extra, and then one becomes the end treble. So now I know the pattern says to do half double crochets, but when I did that, I really struggled to keep my pattern nice and square. I kept losing stitches and stuff because I don't really understand that stitch very well. So I decided to go back to a stitch that I did understand really well, and that's the treble. So it's the treble. I think the English call it the treble, and the Yanks call it a double crochet. But it's the one where you go yarn over the hook. Now I'm leaving 2, coming back into the 3rd, taking the yarn. I've got 3 on the hook. Then I'll go through 2 and through 2. So that to me is a treble. Now I'm going to treble in every one of these chain right down to the end. I've just got a new hook, so it's not slipping very nicely. We might stop that there, and then I'll show you what happens when we get to the other end. So to the end now. That's what the first row looked like. It's monstrous, I know, because it's the big fat wool and the big fat needle. So this is my last one. I've just got one last little treble to do there. Okay, so that's the last treble. And now it tells you to make the curl. So I'm going to change from the 8 to the 10. Now this, when you think the 8's a monster, well this one is huge to work with. And then it tells you to do, I think it says 15, sorry, I haven't got my pattern here. but I think it says to do 15 to make the curl. So what I found was the first one, it was all very uniform and they were all the same length. And I sort of thought that it might be fun to make some long and some short. So I did the next one I made, this one, I did some at like 25, some 30, some 15, just to change it up a little bit. So from here, you just chain out. I'll just chain out 15 for this one. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Actually, I might just make it 10 because that's pretty long when you think of it in conjunction with the hat. Okay, and then what you do then is you single crochet 3 times as you're coming back into each one. So leave the first one and come back into the second one, and then you want to do 3 single crochet. So hook through, draw your yarn out, and then through 2. So that's 2 and 1 more. This is a little awkward, but you sort of get the hang of it, and they sort of all scrunch up, but once you start working into it, it seems to be okay. Push your hook through. So it's 1, 2, 3, and then your next one, 1, 2. And I just had this thought, it'd be really funny if this doesn't work after my bright idea of using the bigger hook. Anyway, we'll see. 1, 2, 3. Now you see it's just starting to curl a little bit there. Into the next one. 1, 2, 3. And then into the next one. 1, 2, 3. And the next one. 1, 2, 3. And see, you can see that it's starting to curl around. Quite cute. And then one, 2, 3. Where are we here? I think I've got one more to do I? Yeah, I think I've got one more chain there. 1, 2, 3, and then you'll change back to your size, your current size that you're doing, and then you'll turn this so that you've got this side, and then you'll want to start crocheting. Now the thing says to crochet into the backs, and that sort of gives you a little ridge. So if you want to just have a look at this one, see how you've got a little ridge with each row. So that sort of is how you get the little ridge. And so you want to go into that very first one, back into trebles. So into the next one, into the back of the stitch. You can see there's the stitch there, and I'm just yarn over and into the back of the stitch. Okay, we'll cut it there and come back to you when we're at the other end. Okay, so I've just got 2 stitches left. I've got that one there, and then I've got the chain to do. So into the back of that one, and then into the top of that chain, and that's how you'll keep your hat nice and square. So you can see the little ledge, the ridge, or whatever you want to call it, that stitching into the back stitch helps to make. Now when you get to the end, then you chain 1, 2, 3, and then you turn. Now that 3, that becomes the first of your next row. So you don't do 1 into that stitch, but you do 1 into the next stitch. So you go into that one. And then into the back of the next one. Into the back of the next one, and then you continue on right along to the end until you do your treble into your last your last treble there, making sure that it's the one underneath. So you've got that one, so it'd be that one there, so into the back of there, and then you do your chain and your next little curl. Okay, any questions? Give me a yell. Thanks, Logs.